Well, hey, everybody, and welcome to this midweek review with Mr. John. I am, of course, Mr. John. Have you ever had a rule at your house that was different than a rule that somebody else had at their house? Okay, let me give you an example. Say you are allowed to wear your shoes inside your house, but your best friend, the second you walk through the threshold of the door, you have to take your shoes off to walk around the house. Now, let's say you don't take off your shoes when you go into the house. Would you be forgiven if, say, you were to do that? What would happen if you had mud on your shoes, right? Everybody kind of has different rules and different ways they treat things, right? So there's this guy, he's a Roman guard, and his name is Cornelius, and he is sitting around the house. Now, you got to understand, Cornelius is a little different than most of the Romans. He actually believes in who Jesus was. He had heard or seen what had happened to Jesus, and he became a believer. And so he's sitting around a bunch of non-believers in Jesus, right? And he would have been known in those days as he didn't grow up in the Jewish faith and he didn't know Jesus until then, but he would have been known in that time as a Gentile, somebody who wasn't a Jew or from the Israelite nation, right? So he's a Gentile. And he's sitting around. And one day he has a dream. He's sitting there and an angel comes by and he says, "Hey, Peter is in this location. I need you to go get him and bring him to you so you guys can meet and have conversation," right? And so he sends 3 messengers out to go retrieve Peter. Well, in the meantime, Peter's at a friend's house and he's chilling out and he's relaxing and he's on the veranda, the top deck, the roof, just chilling out when he has a few dreams, right? And one, the angel comes by to him and he says, "Hey, Peter, you are going to be visited by some messengers. They're going to ask you to go visit this guy named Cornelius and you're going to go. You're going to go there." And Peter starts to go, "Well, I can't really do that. They have rules at their house. They eat stuff that I'm not allowed to eat. They eat like pork, or they eat venison, or they eat maybe turtle, snakes, just food that the Jewish religion did not see as clean." So, like I said, Peter dozes off a couple times, and one of those times when he dozes off, he has a dream. And the dream is, it's like a big white sheet is in the sky, and it unfolds down, and within the sheet is all these different animals that the Jews were not allowed to eat. And God tells them, "Listen, you can eat any animal that I deem I've cleaned. There is no unclean animal that I have created that I deem clean," which is God's way of saying to Peter, "Listen, you're allowed to eat these different animals." And can you imagine now, hey, I like bacon. We wouldn't be eating bacon today if it wasn't for this decree, right? If we would come from the Israelite nation. So the messengers arrive and they come to Peter, right? And they say, "Hey, we're going to go over to, and Cornelius is calling for you. He wants you to go to your house." Can you imagine how the other people in Peter's domain, where he's living, they're all of the Jewish descent, Israelite people. And they are like, "Dude, you can't go over there. You're going to break the rules, right?" And Peter explains what God has done. So he goes over to Cornelius' place, and I imagine Cornelius is getting the same thing. "Hey, you can't invite that guy. He'll wear his shoes in the house." Or vice versa, right? They're saying that he's not going to obey our rules because he is of this. And why God did this. It seems kind of weird to change everything so drastically, it seems like, right? You can go from food they weren't supposed to eat to food they can eat. And it's kind of one of those hard ones to process until you go to a foreign country for like a mission trip, or even if you go to somebody's house that is maybe different culturally than you, right? For a food, you might like hamburgers and hot dogs and pizza, but you might go to somebody else's house or country and what they eat is fish. Or let me give you this one. I had to eat this chicken foot soup. It is, they take the foot of the chicken and they put it into soup. They put all these kind of ingredients inside, some vegetables and broth, and they cook this soup and they put the chicken foot soup in it. And then they ladle it out and there's chicken foot soup. How would it feel if I go there and I see that and I immediately say, nope, I ain't eating that. I don't care what you do to me, I ain't eating that. It looks gross. Now, I got to admit, when I first saw chicken foot soup, I was, oh no, I don't want to do this. We get uncomfortable when it's something that we're not used to or haven't done in the past, right? But I'll be honest, I tried it. Now, you don't take the chicken foot. I was told not to chew on it and eat it like that. I was told to take it and basically suck on the foot, and you would get whatever was inside of it. And it was really tasty. It would taste like chicken, right? It was a chicken. So I learned to like this food. I'm not the biggest fish eater. I went to Brazil, and that's what they served was fish like every night. So if I wanted to eat, I was there for a week. If I wanted to eat, I had to learn to eat what they did. And when you go to other cultures or other people's house, you kind of assimilate to what they're doing, right? You assimilate. So when you go to somebody's house that asks you to take your shoes off, it is obedient and obliging when you take your shoes off in their house. Now, if they come to your house and they want to take their shoes off to honor their tradition, you should let them. You can sit there and say, hey, you don't have to take your shoes off in our house. We don't have this rule. But if you want to and feel more comfortable doing that, fine. It is just a way God uses to open up that we can speak to other people just by eating a bacon sandwich, right? To be able to go to somebody's house, have a bacon sandwich, and discuss and really find out that bacon is pretty good, that who God is, who Jesus is. The important thing was not what they were eating, right? The important thing was telling these people who eat these things who God and Jesus were. If you start throwing all these restrictions on them, they're going to go, no, Jesus sounds good, but I really don't want to do that because of this reason, right? They'll find reasons. God is saying, I'm going to take the reasons off the table. I'm going to make these animals clean so you can't eat them. So it's a great story about how we can see others that may be a little different culturally, just to see them as God's children. God wants us all to know him. He wants to know the Jew and the Israelite people. He wants to know the Gentiles. He wants them all to come to know who Jesus is so we can all live under one kingdom, his kingdom. So guys, verses coming up. I hope you're studying these verses. We'll keep going this month. We'll keep talking. Hey, you guys have a great one. We will talk to you later. Bye. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Proverbs 16:9.